Welcome back, everyone. Turn the music down. Hello again. Hope you're all doing well. Darren Cornwall here, and welcome back to the Patreon tutorial for the man with no name, the big quarter scale statue. This is part 18. I'm warming my hands on my coffee because I've been leaning on my desk all day painting and it sucked all the heat out of my arms. And my hands are freezing. Welcome back. So hope everyone's doing well, and we are going to carry on with the beard and whatever else we can think of. Maybe throw a little bit more detail on the hat. Just making our way through now. No specific plans, basically whatever we see, because we might be doing one thing and see another thing and go, ooh, I want to do that before I forget. And that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes you'll sit down and you think, I'm going to paint this particular thing today, and you do. And sometimes you will just be jumping all over the place because you'll paint one thing and you'll see another thing and you want to do that while you've got the colour and before you forget, and you just boom, 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 all kinds of different things. It doesn't matter, it's all progress. Do whatever you need to do. So I'm going to have a sip of this coffee and then unfortunately put it back down on the desk so my hands can get cold again. Right. Oh, cold arms. Leaning on the desk, it just sucks it out. Right. Okay, so I'm just taking the lid off the flow enhancer. I've got the microphone there, camera is running, microphone is on, music is playing. We're ready to go. Bring in the patron cam. And me in the corner, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here he is. Where did I get his hat? About there, I think it was. Cool. Okay. Leave the hat there. So we did a load of shading last time. We did some light brown individual hairs at the top. We did a load of dry brushing here. We took it all round. We took it up to that line. We're going to take it past that line. We're going to do that separately because that's going to be all individual hairs painted on to look right on his neck. Might do that this time actually. That's going to make a big difference to how it looks. But I might do some dark umber next, but individual hairs, and just add some extra detail on and around it, and then, you know what, we'll just see what happens. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I do. I kind of do. I get paid a lot of money to know what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm doing right now. Okay, so umber. I will chuck some umber on the palette, and let's chuck quite a bit of flow enhancer on there. I'll thin it right down. I think I might. Is that a bit of brown? Oh, there's a bit of old brown that we were using last time. Still a little bit wet, so let's chuck some of that in because why not? I don't mind making it darker. In fact, let's get some chocolate brown and chuck some of that in. Just mixing it around, turning the brush, so I'm making sure that I rub everything off the brush that I put on there. Doobie doobie doo. You know what, we'll go with that. I was considering making it a bit darker, but I will only do that if we need to when we get to the bottom half of the face. If it needs to be darker to show up with the shadows, with all the dry brushed bits. Okay. Teeny tiny brush. Little baby brush. Where are we going to be? What are we doing? So we're going to be about... See, that would be better, but it's... You know what? Let me do the focus about there. Let me see if I can bring this up. Is it already right? Oh, I'm... Look at the camera in the bottom right. This is what I was changing the focus on. Okay, camera settings, camera 2. That's the patron cam, right. I think the focus was already sort of in the right place. Hang on, let me see. Too much, too much, too much, too much. Okay, well that's apparently where the focus is anyway. Here's me doing all the thing thinking, I'll move the focus, I'll make it better for them, and it was sort of in the right place anyway. Right. So, let's see. It starts around there. Now what I'm doing here, I'm making sure that some of these are sticking up over the top of the brown that we did, the light brown. So that they blend in and, you know, look like hers. We will take it all the way down. We will do that in a bit. I'm also, as I'm doing the hairs, changing the directions of them slightly. So some are going straight down, some are turned to the left a bit, some are turned to the right, because messy stubble doesn't go in a perfectly straight line. It sort of goes a little bit all over the place. Oh, wasn't even on the camera, you should have told me. Okay, so little tiny, just little individual hairs. Now that was, have I moved that up again? Let me check the focus again, see if I can. Where are we? Okay, so get some thin dark brown, make sure there's not too much on it. Oops. And just teeny tiny. Some in different directions, some above the faint brown line, because you look at your face, if you are a man and have a beard, you will see that there are quite often rogue hairs that sort of don't play into the shape of where things are supposed to be, and you'll see one or two sort of higher up on your face. I know I get some. Which side can you see? So where is everything? There's the line of my beard. I will occasionally get one or two hairs that just sort of appear a little bit higher, and painting those on can make things look a bit more realistic, even though it might not be what you would ideally think, well, that's how I want it to look, because you automatically make things neater than they should be, or than you want them to be, you know, than your brain wants them to be. You might think, oh, it looks neater this way. Well, yeah, but it's not necessarily how real people look. So I remember from the last video, and I can see that he has a darker patch over here, so I'm just gonna swipe in a few extra hairs there. And then he has a slightly darker patch up here. Do a few extra there. Blend some between the two, taking one or two super thin ones. I'm being as careful as I can when I want to make the hairs thinner, like thinner. Batman. I'm being super careful to not have the brush touch the face. I'm sort of swiping little brush movements, but doing everything I can to not have it touch. And when I don't need them so super thin, then I just paint on individual hairs as normal. A little bit frustrating that the sculpt has been done with a relatively hard line that's shown up because of the light that's up here. It's casting a shadow along there. It's a little bit frustrating and not perfect. So what I'm going to do is the little bit that's above that line, that's sort of picking up highlights, I'm going to see if I can do something to darken that a bit, and then do some thin washes and darken underneath it. Underneath it, where is that? And what I'm also going to do, which I might as well do now, is pick up some thin of the dark colour, and instead of doing individual, now that we've got all the layers in and a bunch of individual hairs on this bit, I'm going to take some thin wash of the dark colour and just randomly blob some around to make it look like there are darker or thicker sections there where there's more hairs growing or darker hairs clumped together or whatever it is. People who have beards will know that's how they look. They're a bit more random. See, that's just all the dry brushing and stuff, and this is starting to get more detail on. Still more to go, and highlights and some skin colour and different browns maybe, or some greys or whatever, but it's picking it up. Oh, excuse me. So I'm not going to do the bottom yet. The bottom won't need any individual hairs, not on this bit, because that's underneath, and just some dark dabbing around will be enough. Like what we did at the very beginning, will be enough to give the impression down here that there's stuff going on. We will do it on the neck because that's what we need to do. Let me just move a couple of pictures around on my screen so I can see how his neck looks. Okay, so from the front it all goes backwards, and then from the back corner, I'm just looking at a particular picture so I can see that from the front the hairs sort of all go in a backward direction. I know you're out of focus there. I'll see if I can. The hairs all go backwards, and then when they get to under this corner they sort of come down this way, and there's like a little point where they all sort of seem to be heading towards. So these ones come down this way, these ones over here go back that way, but also there's a load that are just sort of going all over the place, but the main look will work just fine. Now let me, before I start, in fact no, I was going to do the underneath bit there, and there's probably the interesting thing to do, but for now I don't want to, while I've got that colour mixed, I don't want to, oh, where's my focus gone? I don't want to not take this colour to the other side where it, you know, needs to be used to blend in all the stuff over here. So I'm doing the same as what I did over there. Occasional hairs higher than everything else, blending it into a colour that's underneath, doing some bits where the dark hairs are below the thin bit, and then doing some bits where the dark hairs are above, just moving the image around so I can see it a bit better. Okay, so let's get some now, just following some reference pictures here. exactly the same plan. Follow the reference pictures, make it look how it should. You can do thicker. You're safe to do thicker hairs once you get into the beard, because you're not really seeing individual hairs as much down here, so you're more just adding thick but small and detailed blocks of colour. And then when you get up to the top bit, let me just check the other side here. We do super thin and controlled hairs where we need them. Actually, while I've got that colour, let me go up onto that bit that I did. Remember I did a little bit of a dry brush bit, and I said I wanted to go into it with some individual hairs to extend it out and detail it. Well, it's about the right colour, so it'll do it now. And also do some random ones facing a different direction, because your hair goes all over the place. Let's do some at the back here. Now in this bit I will do some highlights to break it up a little bit, because it's just looking a bit like a block of colour at the moment. In fact, while I've got the colour, why not? Let's go up and do the dark colours that I said I would do. Up in there, we can go back in and do the light colours separately. Oh, cramp in my hand. When you hold a tiny brush for so long and you're doing like super detailed work, and you're holding the brush as accurately as you can, because you're trying to, you know, barely touch the surface or something. Oh, you get cramp in your hand. Ow. Okay. So you can just add some dark wash over that. Bit over the top there. Try and blend it all in. Okay. Let's do a little bit more dark stuff out there. So as well as the individual hairs, I'm just doing some blobs there to take the colour out, to make it look like there's much more thick hair there, which there is on the reference pictures. And then I can go back with some highlights and maybe a little bit of skin colour to thin it out as or when I think it needs it. When? As or where I think it needs it. So up here, exactly the same as what we're doing on the beard. Individual hairs sticking out, but trying to do them a little bit random, so some of them are further out than others. And then just getting the thin but dark wash colour. Just going to take some of it around that edge to darken the extra bit that I painted, but also take it onto the main block of hair so it looks like it's all part of the same thing. And then take some of the dark colour, go over the hair, because like I said on the previous video, all of the down there and these shadowy bits are quite dark, and then it gets lighter bits here where they sort of curl out into the sun, and in a lot of the pictures, whether it's a front view or a side view, you'll see these bits looking a bit lighter where the sun or just the light in general is hitting them. So we can go back and do those again. Let me just compare both sides here. Okay, I just want to take some more washes. Sorry, I might have been leaning under the camera there, I couldn't really see what I was doing. Just doing a few more random blobs about the place, trying to not match the other side because we don't want them to be symmetrical, but try and look like at least it's the same beard on the same person. They have to match enough. So he's got a dark bit. Well, there's a few dark bits. There's one about there, there's one about there, there's one up and about there, and then a load of dark bits back here. So I'm just following the reference pictures. I'm just going to feather out the edges of these ones. So those bits where I've done some dark blobs, I can see them on a couple of the reference pictures, so that will help. And as you can see on that side, there's some dark ones. Now they might look like they're standing out more because they're still wet than what they're going to do. And also don't forget, we're going on top of this with like a subtle highlighty layer when everything is done, maybe a few highlight layers, so they won't be as pronounced. But on the reference pictures there are bits where just some of the beard hair is clumped together a little bit and it just looks darker, and it's worth replicating that, because when you see random things like that on a thing, I mean, they look quite dark on there, but it's because they're still a bit shiny. When they've got other paint on top and the whole thing has been varnished and pulled together, they won't stand out as much. They will basically stand out in exactly the the way that they're supposed to, and just make it look like a bit of a natural organic beard, as opposed to something that's been painted with care and attention to try and look a certain way, because those things can look artificial because you're trying to do it a certain way. That's why I often try to strive for randomness wherever I can get it, because the world, the universe, the way our bodies grow, it's quite random. So the more of that you can put in, the better. Okay, so let's take some more of this. Let me get a front view. Actually, I've got a few front views. Okay. So I'm going to ignore the moustache for now, because I'm going to do that separately. And also, I think a lot of this is going to be done with a different colour, but as long as I can get some hairs on there, because a lot of this is going to be just shading with the lines that are already there on this, because there's not much to do on the chin. Most of the detail I want on those sides, but we just need to bring it round so it looks like it's all part of the same thing. And you mix that up, chuck a little bit more thinner in there, a bit more than that. Now when I do the underneath stuff on his neck, even though it's a continuation of this, I might do it, wasn't paying attention to the camera there, I might do it either with a different colour, just because it's going to be different and on pure skin colour, so I'll need to make sure it works on that as opposed to on top of a dark beard like what I'm painting now. Or I'll take whatever's left of this and I'll just thin it down so much that it works just fine like that. There's something on there, and I can't tell if it's a thing that's stuck to it or it's some paint that's come off. I don't know. Not sure. I just saw a bit that looked lighter than everything else. Just looking at it straight on to me. I know I'm ignoring the camera, but I just want to make sure that it is looking right, as it should be to me. I actually think, oh excuse me, before I do anything, just give me 1 second to go through a couple more reference pictures. I just want to see the shape. Yeah, the way the sides on the beard are sculpted on this side. I mean, his ears are completely the wrong shape, but there's not much I can do about that. But the line down here shouldn't be that straight. The skin, the ears should be tilting back a bit more, but this skin bit should be going further forward and then back down towards that corner. So I need to get some skin colour and take this bit further out away from the ear, and then also take this front bit out now, which I can do. So if I take some random hairs further out to sell the effect. And then as you get further in, you can just start putting down flat colour, and we'll go on top of that with highlights, and that'll sell the individual hairs thing on top of the blocks of colour. Let me see, just looking at some different angles from both sides. That side's actually better. I think this front can still come further forward a bit more though. Trying to see things from all angles. Yeah, so that side definitely needs to come out there. This side can go further forward as it has. Do some highlight ones there. Highlight ones there. That side's looking really starting to look good now. So I'm sort of looking at angles that show the front, angles that show each of the sides. and through the films there are various levels of stubble to almost full beard. So I'm mainly going by how he looks in this pose, but then if there's any things that I can steal from any of the other looks that, you know, look good, then that's worth doing. Okay, so that can be taken up a little bit up there. Sorry, forgive me for being so quiet. Just going through all the reference pictures, trying to see if there's anything that I can do to change it a little bit. I'm going to take this bit forward a little bit, not much. And the same thing, a few stray hairs further out than everything else to sell it. Okay, let me get that window back down. Bink. Okay, so now the moustache is difficult because I'm trying to fake the look of short stubble or shortish stubble on top of what's been sculpted sort of in the style of a full massive moustache. So what I think I'm going to do is do some random things sort of dotted all around the place in different colours and going in different directions. So I'm going to paint hers going in different directions to the sculpted hair, and then that can give the impression, and it's going to take a few layers of darks and lights, I think, to do it properly. Sorry, not paying attention to the camera there. Where are we? About there? Oh, I can't get my elbows on the table. Right. Now while I've got this darker colour, a fair bit of it mixed up, I've got to be careful I don't get paint on my little finger and then lean back on the head. I'm going to go in under the eyelashes, the eyebrows, and do some thin wash of dark colour, but you know, some dark colour nonetheless. While I'm here, might as well add some random dark bits to the cigar. Not too dark and not too much, because a lot of it is lighter. I'm going to add some darker stuff around this leading edge, sort of messy darker stuff, because it's going to be a bit burnt round the top edge. So I just want to make it darker around there. I can't move my chair again. My chair rolled backwards. I couldn't lean forward. There you go. Still not looking where we want, but it is slow work. I mean, it's a complicated beard and I'm sort of fighting against the sculpt a little bit. So you can see the underneath there. I'm just trying to bring it to looking more like, you know, shorter stubbly stuff up here. Still more to go. Actually want to, now that I've looked at the other side and seen where that goes from, this front edge needs to come, oops, focus. This front edge needs to come forward more again. Oh, very thick. Dab. And dab. That's a bit better, a little bit higher up sort of starting around the middle of his ear and then going down. What I'll do before the video finishes, because we're already up at 50 minutes, it's slow going, but it's important going. Sometimes you do a paint job and there's a thing on that paint job that takes forever, and it can show very slight, changes and movements forward, but they do have to be done, so you just have to get on with it. Because I can spend weeks doing a thing, and it just used to be that previously none of it would be filmed. I would just sort of sit here by myself working away, and now that you film it and people watch it, you become more aware of how long certain things can take, and that becomes even more so when you realise, oh god, my god, people are watching this. They're all going to be getting bored, or they're all going to just be thinking, oh my god, he's so slow. I am a bit slow, but I'm slow because I know how I get my results. So what I'm doing here, I'm just starting off what I said I realised needed to be done at this edge. From about here to here, and then back out. I'm going to go back and neaten it up and fix colours and everything, but that edge needs bringing forward, sort of to the bottom of the ear, and then the stubble comes back around this way, a little bit like that one has been. That was sort of sculpted a bit more like that. I mean, the sculpt actually goes a little bit closer. I must have done that realising that's how it needed to be. But that side's a bit better now. Just the basic shape, I will go back and neaten off the... Where did I put that colour? Up here. I will neaten the edges and all that, and put some hairs over it. But I just want to get the basic shape in place. Which is a bit better, and bringing that forward has let me bring that bit forward, which gives more of the look that we want from that image that everybody knows. Because I realised that the sides on his beard were too low and too far back. Sometimes things only jump out at you when you've been working on them a little while. So try and get rid of some of the water. Now, I was going to do other stuff, but I'm going to leave that for the next video because this is 55 minutes already, and you all have jobs to do and stuff. We're getting there. We're moving forward. It's what happens. See? He's looking more and more like him. Let me change cameras. Click. Get that out of the way. And don't forget, more layers of hair on top of that and highlights to give it more life. It was never going to just be a vague airbrush of brown around his chin. Not what I do. So it's going to be that when it's done, you can look at it quite close. Not too close because of the sculpting detail, but in terms of the the paint on the beard, it will look like it will at least look like it's not just an airbrushed brown chin thing. Let me take my main camera and bring the focus on that a little bit closer just to see what it looks like on that one. And then more highlights and more on the hair, obviously, and some changes on the hair and stuff. So there is more to do. Oh, hang on. More to do. Oh, I've just knocked over my flow enhancer and it's gone everywhere. Hang on. Oh no! Catastrophe! And a probably very empty bottle now. How far down has it got? Oh my god, I've lost most of it. That was up here. And it's down there now. Well, I guess I'm going to the art shop at some point. It's fine. It's fine. Didn't touch the head sculpt. Didn't ruin anything. Didn't make any messes. Didn't, ruin any paint jobs I'm working on. It's just annoying, and probably threw away about £3 worth of flow enhancer, and is now using up all of my kitchen roll to try and fix it. But it didn't do any damage, so we're okay. Sorry about this. This is completely a very boring end to a video, so I might as well let you go while I clean this up. Thank you for keeping me company. Ask me questions, all of the usual stuff. That's completely thrown me off now. I am just gonna go and clean this up. I will see you in the next video, and we'll carry on doing more details on the beard and some other stuff, and we will get closer and closer to having that head finished. Because kind of a lot of it's done now. We've done a lot of work on it to bring it to this stage, and I can see this big puddle looking at me. I will see you next time, guys. Look after yourselves, look after everyone else. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video with a tidy desk. I won't spill anything.